Welcome back, dear listeners, to another session delving into the horrors that lurk around your everyday life. Think for a moment to when you last held a conviction so strong you could name it an obsession. Was it religious? Was it ethical? Or simply the manipulation of a wise entertainer during moments of heartbreak or instances of drug-induced creative interpretation? Viewer discretion is advised. Good evening, caller. You are on the air. Please state your full name and relation to the horror.
Good evening. I am Alexandra Hess, and I was the personal assistant to Yuki Omada in the months leading up to and during the Blood Book massacre.
Omada always entertained melodrama in his novels. Were you ever a fan of the author before entering his service?
Oh, yes, a massive fan. I read all of his books: Burning of the Setting Sun, Cremation of Birth, Rise of a Sunken Womb. Especially loved Rise of a Sunken Womb.
Why is that, Miss Hess?
Well, I...
Miss Hess, please understand there is no pressure to surrender truth you do not yet deem ready for revelation.
Thank you, Crowley, but I feel like I need to. I need someone to write down my story like Yuki Omada did for his late wife. Isn't that why you made the show?
I'm impressed, Miss Hess.
But why did you create this show, Crowley?
Tonight is your story that deserves immortalization, not mine.
Okay. Okay. So Rise of the Sunken Womb was about abortion, the birth of a child and loss of the future. I had a miscarriage with my ex-husband at the time, and the book helped me cope with the marriage falling apart and taking down a room we prepared for Lily. Yuki Omada moved to America shortly after my separation. I needed a distraction and, well, divorce can be expensive. So I sent in my resume via a friend working at Yuki Omada's publisher. The final interview was in his newly acquired Beverly Hills mansion. There were 9 of us sitting outside his empty home office. We were all talking about the movie deal he signed a few months earlier, the freshly single actor slated to play his protagonist, how the story took place in LA, and all the characters grew up all over America, in towns we knew, towns we lived in. When my turn came, I walked in, a slight fluttering feeling running from my stomach to my heart, in his mansion halls, already decorated in golden pictures of mythology, from Greek to Chinese, Icarus, Gong Gong, and Ravana. At the far end sat Yuki Omada on an Ottoman-styled throne. "Alexandra Hess," he said slowly, decisively. There was no smile, not any warmth to his words. He gestured towards an open chair with an open palm. "Come," he ordered. We were alone, and the door locked itself. "How have you come to be aware of my work?" he questioned me. I told him the same story I told you a few seconds ago. Finally, he broke into a tight-lipped smile. "That will be all," he said. I got the job. Yuki Omada.
That is what he stipulated you call him, name and surname.
He never wanted to be known as anything different from the print on his books. He was not like the celebrities we grew up with. He believed in privacy, but he believed in it less than everyone else. He would go out to the poorest regions and give out his books for free, with $500 hidden behind each cover. He would preach about keeping to the characters who comforted us in our darkest moments. How these characters are ours, not his, ours. He could only give us the characters, but the personality of each character, the interpretation, was us writing alongside him. The teaser trailer dropped for Burning of the Setting Sun, and it was clear that the main character and the story was desecrated from its original. The story was no longer about a boy coming to accept the darkness in himself as a fact that will always need to be tamed, yet he himself as a person to be accepted. It was now just focused on the physical aspect of fighting a mob in southern Italy. We, the fans, were all furious. Yuki Omada had me read the news to him. He had these thick eyebrows that almost formed a unibrow. With each sentence, they came closer and closer to ending the gap between. But he never allowed his stoic smile to fade. "Leave me," he spoke softly. 3 a.m. the next morning, my ringtone went off. Yuki Omada. I picked up. I was at his house at 3:24 a.m. He had me write down the following. All and any who have read the message of Yuki Omada through his works will tune in to their social media of choice on 1 p.m. Los Angeles time for a message from the author. The other parts of the plan was not for public consumption yet. During his online stream...
Excuse me, Miss Hess, but what were the other orders?
During the live stream, the people had to be made aware of what they lost in the foreign disrespect of our character's face on the screen.
When identity is tied to the fictional and not the self, one easily falls beneath the sway of strong men.
Are you talking about fiction or politics?
Politics are frequently fiction crafted by people campaigning for votes.
And fiction can be used to redefine truths. On the live stream, I realized that. With every hashtag Amada, hashtag drown the Hollywood drought, hashtag kill the childhood molesters. The chat devolved into collective howls for death and mutilation and decapitation of Vincent Andersson.
The CEO at the time. He died bloody and...
We'll get there. Poor bastard. But for now, Yukio Amada had his speech. He cried, "They have taken the very thing you hold dear. When I gave you a friend and rapture from your pain, they took it away. Where I was your ally, they are now your enemy. They take away what I have given you. Take it back. Take it back."
At no point did you suspect what was to come.
I tell myself I didn't, but honestly, I felt something was off. In his live streams and public speeches, he shouted and smashed his podium with gesticulation. But in private, he sipped tea and talked about the ocean waves, comforting the land during lonely nights of full moons.
Metaphor for the comfort of oneness in nature, or for violence in relationships.
You read Rise of the Sunken Womb?
Yes. His meditation on the beauty and evil, found in the same acts through different eyes, encapsulated the divided word quite charmingly.
Have you heard the theory of a hidden third explanation?
I do not have the pleasure yet, no.
Meaning is malleable to the power of the populace. The populace is malleable to the influence of art. Artists are the creators of meaning. Yukio Amada told me drunk one night after giving a keynote speech on hashtag Take Back the Book. I don't know how or when he even got a chance to write it, but he released a novel titled Twilight of a Father's Fate. The book must have been written, or at least mostly written, before he arrived to America. It was 1,000 pages of unifying a divided world under the wisdom of a Pajari, yet elites defile his message. The people follow the Pajari into the elite temple, where blood flows through stone slab canals of Mammon. The book ends before a conclusion in the confrontation. The book design was distinct from his other novels, hardcovers with sharp edges dripping fake blood. On the cover was a mirror, and where the author name should be was the word us. Backlash against the $120 million film grew greater and greater. The studio invited Yukio Amada to make amends. He had me announce this on social media to attract crowds. The studio was pleased. A public display of reconciliation? PR at its best, the other personal assistant said in her email. Yukio Amada glided up the stairs as the crowd cried manias. His new book in his robes. The CEO of the studio, Vincent Andersson, darted his eyes over the crowd, each with the new book plastered to their hands, separated by barricades and police officers from their hero. Yukio Amada? Those were Vincent's last words. Yukio Amada punctured Vincent's neck with his book. Down on his knees, Yukio pummeled the book into Vincent's skull. Pieces of bone splintered into the microphone. Yukio Amada seized the microphone. "Burn it down!" The police could not draw their weapons before ravenous fans shoved their books down dislocated jaws and suffocating windpipes. A few smart officers fled. The bloodlusted policemen had their weapons turned on them by the mob.
What did you do in these moments?
I froze. Yukio Amada stared at his creation, whispered to himself, "From pen to paper, to mind, to action, and my greatest art." His whispers became incomprehensible, words deconstructed from full figures to little consonant clicks and vowel shrieks. The mob dragged blood-streaked corpses of fallen comrades and desecrated officers up the steps to Yukio Amada. He did not say anything. He turned and flung his book against the locked glass doors of the building. They joined, first 1, 2, 10, 50, 100. The windows cracked, and its inhabitants fled deeper into its glass womb. The books only halted when a final crash brought down a window. They streamed in like piranhas from a fiction tale. Yukio Amada remained outside. Only once each and every one of the acolytes had made it inside did he follow. Bullet wound bodies piled in the elevator he summoned. Disciple in security. His head nodded me to stand next to him. As we reached the final floor, he vomited blood. He forced me to help him to the ghost of Vincent's office. Pictures of Vincent's daughters and wife decorated the desk and wall. He gazed into my eyes as he placed his back against a window. "You will be my immortal creation." He smashed through the glass and fell to the concrete 15 floors below.
Not too dissimilar to his final literary work.
And like his final book, the mob wailed. The collective voices rushing up the stairs and elevators to where the pop culture messiah ended it all. I had not read the book at that point. I didn't know the man was killed in the book by a young personal assistant, a secret traitor. The first few stampeded in with books bloodied and torn. This girl with black hair and no eyebrows was at the front, spit streaming from her mouth to the bloodied book with her. She screamed, "Amada!" She swung the book at my head, missed, and stumbled through the open glass.
Just as the book had predicted. Manifestation or zealous commitment.
Do you know what came next in the book, Crowley?
The Messiah of black-lettered print hath decreed upon himself cast the sins unwrought since Galilee. In his dead hand betrayal, from woman of his love contracted to evil prevail.
The disciples he blessed with presence in life shall forego all their eternal strife. Let come all ye faithful and true to drop down into heaven through concrete skull decimation, met where feet step in unbroken chaos of worlds unyielding to understanding. Take flight and follow the fall as your Lord calls to those saved under his thrall. I tried to stop them from diving after him. I saw some of them reach out for my help, those with books not yet broken with bone and skin sticking from pages. But the flood of zealots carried the reluctant offerings from entrance to window, to body piles atop a promised lie of life eternal away from the strife of earth, death on concrete ground. I don't think he believed in the religious aspect of his ritual suicide. I think he was just scared of dying alone and unknown. He wanted to be remembered, and I guess he got that. Book clubs knew the name Yukio Amada and would have always remembered him in good faith. But that wasn't enough. Now, everyone will recall the infamy of Yukio Amada and the Blood Book Massacre.
Thank you, dear listener, for spending your time with us. This episode was not a rebuke to any fandoms nor villainization of its adherents. Rather, it simply offers the question, when does obsession, be it in immortality or fame, spill over into delusion? Until next week, I am Crowley, and search the dark corners of your life. podcasts.